Today we are descending into the prehistoric oceans to meet the ultimate apex predator, the Megalodon. You've seen the movies, you've heard the rumors, but the truth hidden in the fossil record is far more terrifying and fascinating than any sci-fi blockbuster. From a groundbreaking 2025 study that rewrites its sheer size to the brutal reality of its birth, here are 25 secret facts about the Megalodon shark. 1. A reign of 19 million years. When we think of dominant species, humans barely register on the geological clock. The Megalodon, however, was the undisputed king of the oceans for a staggering 19 million years. They first appeared around 23 million years ago during the Miocene epoch and completely vanished from the fossil record about 3.6 million years ago. To put that in perspective, they reigned longer than any hominid species has existed. 2. Bigger than we ever imagined. The 2025 breakthrough. Forget everything you thought you knew about the Megalodon's size. For decades, science capped their maximum length at around 15 to 18 meters. However, a groundbreaking scientific study released in 2025 shattered those estimates. By re-evaluating vertebral columns, scientists now believe the Megalodon could reach an astonishing length of 24.3 meters, nearly 80 feet, and weigh a massive 94 tons. That puts them far beyond previous models and right into the size class of modern blue whales. 3. Not just a scaled-up great white. Hollywood loves to portray the Megalodon as just a gigantic great white shark, but reality tells a different story. If you saw one today, it would look remarkably different. Paleontologists now understand they had a much slimmer, more aerodynamic and streamlined body, closer in proportion to a modern lemon shark. They featured a shorter snout, a flatter jawline, and exceptionally long pectoral fins required to support their massive weight in the water. 4. The meaning behind the legend. The name Megalodon is iconic, but its origin is surprisingly literal. Derived from ancient Greek, it simply translates to giant tooth. It's a fitting title considering a single Megalodon tooth could reach up to 18 centimeters, about 7 inches in length, larger than an adult human's hand. 5. The mystery of the missing skeletons. Why don't we see full Megalodon skeletons in museums like we do with T-Rex? It comes down to biology. Like all sharks, a Megalodon's skeleton was made entirely of cartilage, the same flexible tissue that shapes human ears and noses, rather than solid bone. Cartilage decomposes rapidly after death. Therefore, almost everything we know about this leviathan comes from the few parts that fossilize well. Their enamel-coated teeth and a few rare calcified vertebrae. A bite force that could crush metal. If a Megalodon clamped down, there was no escape. Computer models estimate their bite force was the most devastating in the history of the animal kingdom, ranging from 108,514 to 182,201 newtons. That translates to roughly 40,000 pounds per square inch. To give you an idea of that power, it is enough force to easily crush a modern automobile into scrap metal. 7. A jaw built for leviathans. The the sheer dimensions of a megalodon's mouth are hard to comprehend. Their jaws could open 2.7 meters wide and 3.4 meters high. That creates a void large enough to swallow two adult humans standing shoulder to shoulder. Or if they were swimming in the Thames today, they could swallow a London taxicab whole without chewing. 8. The 276-blade arsenal inside that cavernous mouth was a terrifying arsenal. The Megalodon possessed 276 serrated, razor-sharp teeth at any given time. These were not meant for chewing, but for grasping, slicing, and sawing through the thick blubber and dense bone of massive prey. 9. The oceanic tooth conveyor belt sharks don't visit the dentist. They have an evolutionary conveyor belt. As a megalodon's front teeth dulled or broke during violent hunts, new teeth from the rows behind would rotate forward to replace them. Because of this continuous shedding, a single megalodon could lose up to 40,000 teeth throughout its lifetime, leaving a trail of deadly debris scattered across the global ocean floor. 10. A 100,000-calorie daily diet. Fueling a 24-meter, 94-ton biological submarine requires an astronomical amount of energy. Scientists estimate that an adult megalodon needed to consume roughly 100,000 calories every single day just to survive. That is the equivalent of eating about 180 Big Macs daily, though their actual diet was much more nutrient-dense. 11. The ultimate opportunist. For a long time, we believed megalodons only ate large whales, but recent analysis of zinc isotopes found in their fossilized teeth reveals a different story. They were the ultimate apex opportunists. Their hunting strategy was essentially, if it moves, I eat it. They fed on organisms across multiple levels of the food web, from massive baleen whales to smaller seals, sirenians, and other sharks. 12. Brutal evidence written in bone. We don't just have to guess how they hunted. The evidence is literally carved into the bones of their victims. Paleontologists have unearthed fossilized whale ribs and vertebrae bearing deep, horrifying gouges. In some spectacular cases, the tips of megalodon teeth have been found broken off and embedded directly into the fossilized bone of the prey, freezing a violent prehistoric struggle in time. 13. Cannibal King's nature is brutal, and the megalodon was no exception to the rule of survival. They didn't just hunt other species, they hunted each other. Fossil records have revealed megalodon teeth bearing the distinct bite marks of another megalodon. Whether for territorial disputes or simply a hungry opportunist, they were not above cannibalism. 14. Giants from the moment of birth. There was no cute and cuddly phase for this predator. When a megalodon pup was born, it was already a massive threat. Fossilized vertebrae rings indicate that a newborn megalodon was astonishingly large, measuring between 3.6 and 3.9 meters, 12 to 13 feet, right out of the gate larger than many adult sharks alive today. 15. The horror of in utero cannibalism. How did the babies get so big before birth? The answer is a gruesome biological strategy called in utero cannibalism, or oophagy, inside the mother's womb. the first embryos to hatch would turn on their unborn siblings, actively hunting and devouring the unfertilized eggs to fuel their own massive growth spurt before ever seeing the ocean. 16. The cold water giants. Bergman's rule suggests that animals in colder climates grow larger to conserve heat, and the Megalodon seems to have followed this principle. Distribution studies show a fascinating adaptation. Megalodons living in colder waters tended to grow significantly larger than their counterparts dwelling in warmer tropical regions. 17. Shaping the evolution of the ocean. As a keystone apex predator, the Megalodon was an evolutionary pressure cooker. Their relentless hunting forced other marine life to adapt or die. It is highly likely that blue whales evolved to their massive, gigantic sizes specifically to become too large for a megalodon to hunt easily. Similarly, species like the mako shark evolved incredible speed to outrun this looming threat. 18. A global empire. The Megalodon's reign was truly worldwide. Their iconic fossilized teeth have been discovered in coastal waters, continental shelves, and ancient estuaries on every single continent on Earth except Antarctica. They dominated the global waterways. 19. Coastal nurseries. Despite their global reach and pelagic lifestyle, adult megalodons relied on specific environments to ensure the survival of their species. Mothers would give birth in shallow, warm coastal waters known as nurseries. These areas offered abundant small prey and protection from other deep-sea predators. When ice ages hit and sea levels drastically dropped, these critical nursery habitats vanished, spelling disaster for the species. 20. The warm-blooded advantage, mesothermy. The Megalodon wasn't completely cold-blooded like a standard fish. Scientists believed they were mesotherms, partially warm-blooded. They had the ability to regulate their body temperature, keeping it noticeably warmer than the surrounding ocean water. This metabolic advantage gave them the energy to hunt aggressively and allowed them to migrate through various temperature zones across the globe. Part 5. Lineage, Extinction, and Myths. 21. A different family tree. For decades, scientists placed the Megalodon in the same family as the great white, but modern taxonomy has corrected this. The Megalodon is actually the final, most spectacular member of the Otodontidae, an entirely extinct lineage of megatooth sharks. They are not the direct ancestors of today's great whites. 22. A 100-million-year dynasty. The bloodline that led to the Megalodon was ancient, stretching back over 100 million years. Their most clearly identifiable ancestor is Otodus obliquus, a formidable 10-meter shark that terrorized the oceans roughly 55 million years ago. The Megalodon was the grand finale of a long line of oceanic royalty. 23. The true cause of their downfall. So, what killed the king? It wasn't a sudden asteroid impact. The Megalodon's extinction was a slow death by 1,000 cuts. A cooling climate wiped out their shallow nurseries and drove their primary prey, baleen whales, toward freezing polar waters where the Megalodon couldn't follow. Furthermore, they faced fierce new competition. Smaller, faster pack hunters like the ancestors of the killer whale, orca, and the emerging great white shark outmaneuvered the giant, starving it into extinction. 24. The math behind the monster. How do we know they reach 24.3 meters if we don't have a skeleton? It requires complex comparative biology. Paleontologists utilized incredibly rare finds, individual vertebrae measuring up to 23 centimeters in diameter found in Denmark, and an 11-meter-long section of a vertebral column discovered in Belgium. By taking these massive segments and scaling them proportionately against the biology of 165 different species of living sharks, the new 2025 calculations were locked in. Debunking the Mariana Trench myth. Finally, let's address the elephant or the giant shark in the room. Conspiracy theorists love to claim the Megalodon is still alive, hiding in the uncharted depths of the Mariana Trench. At Truth Plus, we deal in facts, and science guarantees the Megalodon is 100% extinct. First, the deep ocean, below 3,000 meters, is a freezing, barren wasteland. There is nowhere near enough food to supply a 94-ton predator with 100,000 calories a day. Second, their prey marine mammals must surface to breathe. If a megalodon was hunting them, we would see it. Finally, all evidence of recent survival, from supposed sonar blips to fresh 11,000-year-old teeth, has been thoroughly debunked. The sonar images are usually misidentified basking sharks, and the fresh teeth were simply protected from natural decay by deep-sea manganese dioxide crusts. The king is dead, but its legacy is immortal. Nature doesn't need myths to be terrifying or awe-inspiring. The truth is more than enough. If you enjoyed this journey into the prehistoric deep, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Truth Plus, and turn on notifications so you never miss a fact. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.